Welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Chris. This is my friend Bella. Today we're making everybody's favorite pizza. This is completely, totally homemade pizza. Homemade crust, homemade sauce, everything. And I think you're gonna really, really like it. So to get started with the crust first, we need some yeast. Yeast comes in a little jar like this. Sometimes it comes in little packets, but you can buy this at the grocery store, and this is what makes the dough rise up and what makes it smell like fresh baked bread. And what we need to do is get a tablespoon of this yeast and dissolve it in a cup of warm water. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, get my 1 tablespoon and put it into the warm water. Now, it's really important that the water is warm. Just let the water from your sink run for a few minutes till it feels warm. Not hot, because that will kill the yeast, and not cold, because then the yeast won't develop. It's actually a microorganism that's alive and it needs warm water to grow and get bigger. So Bella, while I'm preparing the other ingredients, if you could kind of stir that in there, it takes about 10 minutes for the yeast to dissolve completely in the warm water. At first it looks a little bit lumpy and gloppy like that, but eventually it'll be smooth and foamy. So just keep it that, and I'm gonna prepare the next couple of ingredients, which is 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. So remember, when you're measuring something light and powdery like flour, to spoon it in lightly, whoops, just like this, to a little bit overflowing, and then level it off. And there's 1, 2, and then to get 3/4 cup, I need to use 1/2 plus 1/4. So there's 1/2 plus 1/4. Okay, I'm done with my flour, so I'll put the lid back on so nothing falls in it. And to that, I'm gonna add some salt. I need a teaspoon. So find your 1 teaspoon measuring spoon, pour some regular table salt in there, and add that to your flour. And that's all the ingredients for the crust. It's so simple. I'm just gonna mix this together with my fork, the salt and the flour. And then I'm gonna do what we call making a well, which means I'm gonna push the dry ingredients up towards the sides of the bowl like this. So there's kind of an opening in the middle, and that's my well. So let's see how our yeast mixture is doing, because that's what goes in the well. Wow, it looks great. Can you smell it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it smells like fresh baked bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give it one more little stir. Okay, and then go ahead and pour it right in there. Right into the well in the middle. Perfect. Okay, then use a fork to gently incorporate the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients, going in a circular motion like this. We want this to become a sticky dough. All-purpose flour is the type of flour that you always need to make sure that you use for pizza crust. If you try to substitute whole wheat flour or cake flour or something else, you won't get as good of a result. So if you really want to use a different type of flour, you need to find a recipe that allows for the differences in that type of flour. It'll usually have mostly all-purpose flour with a little bit of a different type of flour, like whole wheat or almond flour or something like that. And that's exactly how it should look, a sticky dough. So now this is at the point where I need to use my hands. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring it out here onto my counter surface. And now I have to do something called kneading. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Like kneading fresh baked bread? Okay, so it's basically a process that helps everything mix together. And the way you knead bread, it's K-N-E-A-D, knead bread, is to push with the heel of your hand, fold, and then turn. Push, fold, and then turn. Push, fold, and then turn. We need to do this for about 10 minutes. This is a really important part of the process because this is what activates the gluten, which is part of the all-purpose flour in the crust. so that it'll be nice and stretchy when we need it to be stretchy and go on our pizza pan. See how much smoother it's getting?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you do it in just a second, so watch how I'm doing it. Okay, wanna give it a shot?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, use your right hand, push, fold, and turn it. Push, fold, and turn it. There's really no wrong way to do it. Everybody has their own style for kneading. Okay, let me do it a few more times. And then we're going to put it back in our bowl, cover it with a little bit of olive oil, put a towel on it, and let it rise. And you let the ball of dough with the yeast in it sit out at room temperature. It doubles in size in about an hour, and that's what we want. This looks awesome. So I'm gonna make it into a nice circular ball, put it back in the same bowl that I mixed it in, and I'm just gonna pour about a tablespoon on top, just like that. And rub it in, give it a little massage, like that. And then simply set this aside for about an hour. Go do something else that's fun. Or if you don't have time to make your pizza in an hour, put it in the fridge overnight and you can make your pizza later. Even more than a couple nights, you can keep this in the refrigerator till you're ready to use it. So I'm gonna set mine aside. Now here is some dough that I prepared earlier. See how much bigger it's gotten? It's been rising for actually a couple of hours. So the very next step, I'm going to do something called punch down. Punch down, you simply make a fist like you're gonna punch, put it over top of the middle of the bowl, and then just go down. See, it kind of deflates it. And then gather back up into a nice ball of dough. Really smells like fresh baked bread now. Yeah. And I'm gonna knead it a couple of more times. Not another 10 minutes like I did before, just a couple of more times for the gluten. Great, and now this is ready to spread out on my pizza pan. So Bella, can you get the cookie sheet and the rolling pin and the non-stick spray also?
Yes.
And we can set the bowl aside. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a little spray with non-stick spray just because I don't want it to stick. I'm ready to start flattening my dough to go on my pizza pan. Now, you might have a round pizza pan if you make pizza at home a lot. I don't happen to have one, but you can use any cookie sheet. And some people get fancy, you know, right? If you've ever been to an Italian restaurant, they flip it up in the air and that stretches it out into shape, okay? Yeah. I am not that talented at that. I don't want it to fall on the floor. So I'm just gonna start the process with my hands a little bit like this, and then I'm gonna use my rolling pin. And if we've done our job, and the gluten is nice and activated, then it's not gonna be difficult to get this to stretch out into a bigger shape. So I'm gonna try to make it sort of rectangular since our pan is rectangular. If I had a round pan, I'd try to roll it out into more of a circle shape. When you get it almost the size of your pan, you can transfer it to your pan and do the rest with your fingers. So I think we're there now. So maybe you can help me. You can get this end and I'll get this end, and we'll just gently lift it up and put it right on the pan. There we go. So now, pressing out from the middle, we're gonna push it all around like this. We want it to cover the whole bottom of the pan and then have a little ridge around the edge too for the crust, so that when you pick up your slice of pizza, your toppings don't fall off. This is the part that makes it really homemade. Your crust won't be perfect. There'll be some areas where it's a little bit thicker, some where it's a little bit thinner, but that makes it really homemade. Almost like an artisan pizza. Did you ever have an artisan pizza?
No.
So they don't even use like a pan really, they just make a random shape. Yeah. I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish patching up the holes, making sure it's all spread out, and I'm gonna grab a fork for the next step. Okay. The next step is pricking it with a fork like this. Doing this eliminates bubbles. Did you ever get a pizza from a pizza place and there's this huge bubble in it?
Yeah.
This eliminates that. So can you go ahead and continue doing that? And I'm gonna get stuff ready to grate the cheese. Okay. Now, I have a cheese shredder here. You can use any size you want, but I happen to think this medium size is perfect for cheese. This is mozzarella cheese, which is what most people like on their pizza, right? You can use any kind of cheese though. And basically you're gonna rub the cheese in a downward fashion like that. And it's gonna slice it up for us so that it's ready to go. Would you like to finish that? Sure. Okay, go ahead. And then I'm gonna go over to the skillet and make our homemade, really, really quick, easy pizza sauce. You're gonna start with some olive oil and a small skillet. Pour just enough olive oil into the bottom of your skillet to cover the bottom. And then take a clove of garlic and you're gonna crush it. So this is a whole head of garlic. You can break off a piece, and one like this size is a clove. Put it in there, hold it shut, and then squeeze, and tiny little pieces of garlic come out. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put my burner on medium. Maybe medium high. Garlic cooks really fast. Ground garlic is burnt garlic, so only give it a minute or two. And while it's in there, I'm gonna add just a sprinkling of parsley flakes. These are dried parsley flakes. And a little bit of salt to taste, and a little bit of pepper to taste. Push the garlic around. When it's softened, it's done. Again, you don't want it to turn brown. And then at that point, you're gonna add one 15-ounce can of any tomato product that you like. If you like really smooth sauce, you can use one that says tomato sauce on it or tomato puree. If you like chunky sauce, use one that says diced tomatoes. So it's been about a minute, the garlic is soft. I'm gonna add my whole can of crushed tomatoes. And now, when I stir all this to combine it, it's done. Okay, turn off the burner. And I'm coming with the sauce, Bella. Let's make our pizza. Okay, so let me bring my sauce over to the pizza and spoon some of it on. I don't want to dump all of this on. That's too much sauce for one pizza. Let me just spoon a good portion. Okay, you could put more or less sauce, depending on what you like. You could skip sauce altogether and just put whatever foods you like on your pizza. Now let's take that fresh shredded cheese that you did for us and sprinkle that all around. You can buy cheese already shredded in the package, but I think it tastes so much better when you shred it yourself. Do you like pepperoni on your pizza?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. I happen to have some pepperoni. So go ahead, put the pepperoni on. Let's just kind of spread it out all over the pizza. You don't have to have pepperoni. You could have plain cheese pizza. You could put vegetables, chopped vegetables on pizza is really great, a really great way to get your vegetables. Okay, so let's pop it in. The oven is 425 degrees for 15 minutes. Okay, let's check the pizza. It's been in about 15 minutes. There we go. Close everything off, turn off the oven. And there we go. Ideally, we'd want this to cool for a few minutes before cutting into it, and then it's ready to serve. Okay, let's try a bite, Bella. Cheesy is good. What do you think?
That is so
Delicious. Easy, as you can see, to make homemade pizza. See you next time in my kitchen.